Hey everybody, welcome back to CALLOUS Invitational 7 content. We have a lower bracket round 2 matchup here, but any lower bracket, whether it's round 2 or later round, all has the same implication, which is the person who loses is out of the tournament. In this case, it'll be one of Jirachee, who went top, was he 6 or 8? Deep run last year. I don't remember exactly how far. I want to say top 6. And then we have Jumpy23 in his first CALLOUS Invitational. Obviously, being in the round 2 lower bracket, his debut CI match did not go the way that he was hoping that it would go against C, Super Epic Emperos, if you want to go back and watch that. But here we are in round 2 with a chance for him to either redeem himself or crash and burn and go out 0-2 in his first and, last CI, right? Since I'm not doing any more of these. Anyhow, strap in. Here we go. Best of 3. Jirachee's on the bottom, and Purple Drank. Like I said, Jumpy23, Stratos, whatever you know him as, he's on the top. So we've got a meta going for Meteor Mash from the lead position. Connects with a Scarm. So far, everything pretty standard and boring, and it is not a CB meta as we would have seen from the Meteor Mash damage, but now we see a Rock Slide. Does about the same as Mash, but it of course has the flinch chance, which he doesn't get, but might as well fish for it. Here comes Starmie, and that also eats a mash. A little better than a third, no crit, no raise. Everything standard and boring and hacks free so far. T-Wave coming down. And an Earthquake, respectively, for 50%. But Starmie should be able to just recover a loop here until a full para kicks in. Here's recover number 1. And there's full para. So whether he wants to recover again or whether he wants to push it, we'll see. He is going to go for a cover again, so going to get greedy here, trying to get it all the way up to 100 when all is said and done. That Earthquake, luckily, was a worse roll. The crit there did 88, meaning the base roll would have been 44. We saw that the base can be 50% earlier, so had a 50% roll been a crit, it would be a dead Starmie, or hell, even because you have to factor sand in as well, so even like a 48% roll, for example, would have killed the Starmie, but fortunately for Jumpy, or unfortunately for Jirachee, depending on who you want to root for, the one turn that it did crit was on a damn near minimum damage roll. So anyhow, we end up with this matchup. Both of them with status effects on them. Looks like a very standard, boring TSS for Jumpy on the top, and TBD for Jirachee, who's only shown Meta and Zapdos. There's Boom, will in fact kill the Scarm, and one lair is what he managed to get down before that happened. Unclear, with 4 unrevealeds, whether or not Jirachee has a spinner. Magneton coming down, so interesting. Starmie has been around forever. It's an older thing, but I usually see it on teams with things like Lax, Salamence, Celebi, kind of closer to, I guess, just like balance or physical offense or what have you. But Jumpy's opting to use it not only paired with Scarm, which is unusual, but on seemingly a TSS kind of team. And I think his last is just going to be Swampert a lot of the time. It's got to be some kind of rock resist. If he's greedy, it could be something like Meta, or I guess this could be the world's jankiest Magdoll, but then why are you running Starmie? Could also be Flygon, but I think it's probably just Swampert more often than not. So, we have a Toxic on a doll, but it's just going to blow up anyway. It got its spin-off, it did its job, so no more spikes. But there's no Dougie follow-up from the Boom. It's actually just Swampert here, so Jumpy with a 5-4 lead. Tar shows that it does have HP Grass. Swampert wants no part of that, takes a huge chunk. Crit there did not matter. T-Tar goes down. Got ourselves a 4-4 with unrevealeds for both players. 2 for Jirachee, 1 for Jumpy. Starmie comes in, and that's going to meet the Zapdos. Not able to T-Wave on the switch, which would have been the ideal thing, but Surf not a bad chunk. Nice safe play, going to hit something no matter what. A little bit better than a third. Here comes Magneton, Bolt Beam, and HP Grass resistance coming from that guy, but he does get unluckily 10% parried there as an added effect to the T-Bolt. Magneton has lefties, as we see, which makes sense when he does have a spinner as well. And through the imperfect accuracy and the full power possibility, going to connect with Toxic on Swampert as that comes back in. Jirachee still hiding his last 2. And Toxic also, or sorry, Protect also happening through the full power possibility. Obviously, Earthquake, 4x weakness, would have super duper killed them there, but it is protected against. Earthquake on Swampert, which is what we thought the last would be. Not nearly as exciting, and now the Jirachee Swampert on its deathbed here. But he thinks maybe Swampert from Jumpy is going to click Protect, so rather than just giving up his Swampert for nothing, he takes the opportunity to go to Zapdos, which does turn out to be the correct play. It was a Protect. Gonna Protect again, of course. Might as well get more lefties and see what we're up against. And the fact that it immediately goes for HP Grass, probably not a bluff. Probably really is Grass rather than Ice. I would not think that he's bluffing there. I would certainly respect that it's Grass and switch, and that is in fact what he does. But interestingly, so it's usually, not always, but usually it is Ice with Toxic and Grass with T-Wave. So the fact that he is Toxic made me think maybe it's HP Ice. I don't know, but I still wouldn't risk it if I'm Swampert. And he does have Blissey to deal with it, regardless of what hidden power it is. And that hidden power is resisted, so not HP Grass, but it doesn't matter in this case because Swampert was so low at just 9% that any of the hidden powers, any of the standard 3 anyway, would get him from that position. And Jirachee is going to begin to DD up here. He thinks that's his out. He's just going to try to sweep. But unfortunately, one of the best DD tar counters in Swampert is completely healthy on the other side. But Jumpy, rather than attacking, is going to actually go for Curse here, which is a little weird because it just means that if he gets crit, he's in a bad place. But Jirachee's not comfortable with it. He's going to pull it back. He's going to go to Zapdos here. Earthquake blanking, of course. And we still think he has HP Grass, so see what they want to do. He's certainly playing like he really truly does have HP Grass, and it's not a bluff. Protect happens, but I would anticipate that Jumpy goes to Bliss, gets out of the way here. And Jirachee thinks so too, so he goes to his T-Tar. And Blissey does indeed come in, so perhaps this is a better thing to set up on than the Swampert. Swampert reappears, of course, and the DD begins again. This would be a decent +1 double edge if he wants to attack again here, or he could DD a second time, opting for that route. And Earthquake there, 60%, big chunk, would never kill without a crit. Protect, sure. Double edge does not function like high jump kick, where if it gets protected against or you miss or whatever, that you take the damage recoil anyway. 62. And he just kills himself with recoil. Swampert doesn't have to do anything. So that leaves us with Zapdos and an unrevealed poke for Jirachee against the team of 4 for Jumpy. There's Protect. And there is Toxic. Must have anticipated a switch. Might have been aiming at Blissey there. Back to Bliss again. And Toxic again. Good play for Jirachee, but the Zapdos ultimately isn't going to get through here. It is threatening to both the Swampert, if it really does have HP Grass, and the Starmie, but breaking the Blissey is a different matter. The real question, the most important question, is what the last poke is for Jirachee. Zapdos can do some damage here. It is a threat, but it's not good enough to win on its own. He will need assistance from something, whatever that may be. And the Ice Beam crit actually does matter there. A non-crit would not have killed, so Zapdos' day gonna end early, and the last poke, as we see, is Aerodactyl here. Don't know what the move is that's gonna break through everything. Double Edge, does that get through the Magneton with the resistance? It might be his best bet. He might have to just rely on Paralysis for Magneton for a turn or two, but obviously one single Thunderbolt from the Mag will cook that Aerodactyl and we'll be done. Gonna need a crit here to break through Swampert as well, but it's a Curse Pert, so it's not gonna actually have a water attack. It's almost certainly just last move Ice Beam, which on an uninvested Swampert, which this almost certainly is not going to kill the Aerodactyl without a crit. So this actually makes it a little bit interesting here. And Jumpy certainly understands his outs here. He keeps foddering things off, getting Swampert in, gaining lefties, protecting, gaining lefties, and then getting the Swampert out of there. But now he's going to stay. He must have calced what the double edge damage is. And as you see, the Ice Beam comes up way, way, way short of a KO. Like I said, probably has no investment whatsoever. But Jumpy has now put himself in a position where he can never die other than to a crit. Jirachee must find a critical hit here or game one is over, and he does not. And that'll be that. Well played for Jumpy, understood his outs at the end there, sacrificed things that didn't matter to get a little bit more health back on the pert, and as we see at the end, that absolutely did end up mattering. It forced Jirachee to find a crit, and he was unable to do so, so game one to Jumpy23. Gonna start game two momentarily, which as you can see is right here on the screen. Before I do that, real quick, gotta give you my per video donation speech. It'll be quick, very simple. We're trying to break last year's record, so we could say this tournament has grown every year. Not quite there yet. 2,600 is our target number. We are just shy of $2,000 right now, so we're a little under $700 away. I think that's a very realistic goal, but can't do it without you. If you've been enjoying CALLOUS Invitational in these early rounds, this is just round two. If you think you're going to continue enjoying it as we move forward, that's fantastic. So, if you can support it, there's a link in my Discord server. It is a PayPal link, nothing sketchy, not some johnnyswebsite.com. It is an official, known, safe, secure website, PayPal. All you have to do, click the link. Takes a matter of seconds to donate. PayPal takes a very small chunk, and all the rest of the money that you donate goes straight into the prize pool and gets us closer to our goal. So if you've been enjoying the tour and you're able to support, please consider doing so. Much appreciated. This tour doesn't happen without you. So, back to the action. Jirachee on the bottom, Jumpy23 as, it's not even purple drink, it's whatever that says. I'm going to call it purple drink, but it's Jumpy23. And it's game two. Jirachee must win this game to force a game three. Or if Jumpy wins this game, or a theoretical game three, he will knock out last year's deep runner, Jirachee, and he will get himself a win in his first and only CALLOUS Invitational. So here's the second game. T-Tar on the bottom, pretty normal. T-Tar on the top, completely abnormal. And here comes the Scarm switch. For both, in fact. See if either of them has Taunt or Magneton. Otherwise, they're just going to sit here and both spike up. And that seems to be the case. No Taunt, no Mag for either player. Just going to click Spikes. The faster one seems to belong to Jirachee on the bottom. Yeah, it's gone first every time, so a little more nimble. And the obvious move being Roar is going to find a Moltres, which is something Skarmory probably is not all that excited to find. Protect, maybe it'll scout whether it is Flamethrower or Fire Blast. I certainly prefer the former in almost all situations. The Fire Blast PP on Moltres can very much be an issue over the course of a longer game. Wow, and he stays in and roars. I don't know about all that. I mean, maybe you can stay into Toxic there, and even then, pretty questionable risk versus reward. But staying in to eat that big of a Flamethrower to roar, I don't know, man. Maybe Jirachee's team is really Moltres weak if he has no play there, no better play there, other than to roar. That is very concerning if you're a Jirachee fan. The Moltres could absolutely go to town on him here, and with that Specs drop, this follow-up crunch is going to get him from 43%. So Jirachee in a hole, and certainly playing in a way that indicates that Moltres is going to be a big problem. There's Earthquake blanking on Flygon, so little pseudo-Superman here. Little Moltres Superman squad going on. Skarmory appears, survives the Rock Slide, so that's going to be a very defensive Flygon to be doing a pathetic 13% neutral damage Rock Slide there. Maybe the Flygon has no attack investment at all. It certainly looks like it's playing the role of physical wall on this particular team, which is in fact a Superman or a pseudo-Superman. I mean, it's a Superman. It's a variant of Superman. It's not the traditional 6, but or even the modern 6, but it's a spin on Superman. When you got 4 things or more that are flying or levitating, as far as this narrator is concerned, It's not a bird. It's not a plane. It's Superman. There is Focus Punch. 48%. That is a fat Flygon for sure, based on how little damage it's doing and how little damage it is taking. Earthquake there, 16%. Again, pathetic. Might not have any attack EVs whatsoever. Hell, not even convinced that it's a plus attack nature. And there is Toxic, putting a bit of a clock on the Celebi. But man, oh man, does Jirachee's team hate Moltres. Speaking of the devil, there it is. And Celebi doesn't exactly want to stay in here either. Staring down Moltres and poisoned. Aerodactyl is the switch. I mean, better than nothing. That crit there is relevant and unlucky. Would have only taken about a third normally, which isn't great. I mean, especially it doesn't have lefties, so pretty temporary solution. And now that he knows it's there, he also risks getting hit with Will-O-Wisp every time. But yeah, the Moltres just, it seems like a nightmare. It really does. And he even has Protect to scout the Aerodactyl CB move. So now upon knowing that it's Rock Slide, he of course is going to switch to a Rock Resist. Jirachee going to miss with Rock Slide as well, which I don't think it would have done a ton, but it matters. And Rock Slide is of course going to be the retaliation, which would have been super effective against Arrow, but instead, Celebi reappears. Recover, and then Toxic going to miss wide and left. Yeah, I mean, I feel weird calling it over when we're looking at 6-5 and when we have unrevealeds for both players, but it certainly feels to me like Jumpy is quite a bit ahead, and like the Moltres is just going to be very, very difficult. Jirachee really, especially after the crit on the Arrow, has no safe switch whatsoever. Moltres is going to do damage every time it gets in. And here it is again. If it had come in on Leech Seed, maybe it's like vaguely more manageable, but not much. And as it turns out, it comes in on Hidden Power. Flamethrower there, 76%. Insult to injury. How about a burn, too? Leech Seed comes down, but like, who cares? Celebi is damned if you do, damned if you don't. It'll die when it comes in next time to the spikes. And if it stays, it'll just die to Flamethrower. Here's Arrow hoping for a cooperative damage roll, which he does get. He survives at 3% and is going to get just a little bit back via the Leech Seed here. Here comes Skarm. Rock Slide, sure. Like I said, inevitability here. Don't know how you get around the Moltres, but gonna be tough. There's Protect. And Rock Slide. Here comes Flygon again. Yeah, I mean, they both still have an unrevealed last, so if the last is relevant, maybe it changes the dynamic, but it just feels like a tough matchup right out the gate from Jirachee. It's not like he blatantly did something wrong. Some teams are weak to Moltres. It just is what it is, but right matchup at the right time for Jumpy. Moltres feels very difficult, and Jirachee has not shown us anything that indicates that he's going to be able to find a way out of this. There's yet another KO. One-sided game right now, and Jirachee, who is down a game, if he loses here, will be eliminated from the tournament. T-Tar's going to fodder itself via spikes. It will die to anything here from Aerodactyl. So Hidden Power resisted tells us that it's flying rather than bug. I don't know what the last could be for Jirachee to get him out of this. Suicune, I guess, but that's far from guaranteed as well, depending on what Jumpy's got. And I don't think it is Suicune, because I think that would have been the immediate answer to Moltres a million turns ago, if that had been an option. Focus Punch, sure. but it gets protected against as the toxic damage adds up more and more. Rock Slide hoping for a crit or some kind of way out. He does get a flinch, but that's not going to prevent a protect on the following turn, which is just going to result in a toxic death anyway. Jirachee does know that a protect is coming and take the opportunity to get Arrow in, which is the right play. Maybe Arrow can punch through if Flygon is the only rock resist, and if he can find some crits or some luck. Where there's an arrow, there's a way, as we've long said on the CALLOUS Narrates YouTube channel. Here's Flygon, and that is yet another Rock Slide from Aerodactyl missing Flygon. Very frustrating for Jirachee. Bad matchup to begin with, and he misses his third Rock Slide. That's got to be super duper aggravating, as if this matchup weren't difficult enough as it is. He just can't hit a 90-10 to save his life. So what's your last poke? He's not even going to show us. He fought his T-Tower, goes right back to Arrow, who has just 4% here. And yeah, he's not even going to risk it. He's just going to say Skarm's the fodder. He finds a critical hit now, which does matter, I guess, because it wouldn't have killed without, but who cares at this point? One poke only, and it might be immediately boomed on, or immediately perish-songed, or a number of things. Vague chance that Jirachee can get there, but he's going to have to do a lot of things right. Avoiding Will-O-Wisp is certainly one of those things, so there you go. And actually, this Jirachee is faster than the Gengar, so there is more than zero chance here, but he knows he's going to need CM boosts. And he's not able to dodge this Will-O-Wisp, so it very well might be a third Calm Mind here, and just pray that you can one-hit KO everything that he's got remaining. But he's going to go straight for Psychic, so he must see it differently. I don't know if this is right, because I don't know that +2 Psychic kills Flygon here. I think he might have needed another CM boost, so I think he might have messed that up. Yeah, see, Psychic comes up short. And there's the Earthquake kill. Without knowing the last for Jumpy, it's tough to know what could have been or what would have happened there. But I can't help but wonder if Jirachee had just gone for the third CM boost, could he have won this game? Let's say the Gengar just like thunderbolts you. Who cares if it doesn't crit? You would Psychic one-shot the Flygon. I mean, maybe the extra damage from Thunderbolt matters because you are burning and the Flygon does have Protect. And so does the Moltres. So perhaps it wouldn't have mattered one way or another if it's a non-wish Jirachee, which we don't know that either. But if we operate that it's a non-wish Jirachee, then it probably could have been stalled out between Protect and the Will-O-Wisp. But man, my instinct there was to go for the third CM. But it's so hard to know without knowing if it's Wish Rachi and without knowing what the last was for Jumpy. But I think most of the time Jumpy's just going to win there anyway, so who knows. But this game was all Jumpy from the start. The Moltres was a huge issue, now knowing that it's last poke Jirachee. There was just never a good switch. And this matchup was always going to be tough. And Rachi, great player that he is, was not able to overcome it. So he is going to be yet another high-profile, top-end player eliminated early on in CI7, and Jumpy23 will live to fight another day in the lower bracket with his 1-1 record. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. Please leave a thumbs up if you did, and I'll see you in the next battle.